You're listening to Uncoupled and Unfiltered, the show for people smart enough to get out of the wrong relationship and bold enough to do it without losing their damn minds. Hosted by Ksenia Muench, a divorce strategist and straight-talking badass, this podcast is your no-fluff, no-shame, take-control guide to surviving litigated divorce with clarity, guts, and zero regrets. Let's get into it. Here's Ksenia.
Welcome back to Uncoupled and Unfiltered. Today, we're shaking things up a bit because divorce doesn't just affect your emotions, it hits your body too. I'm your host, Ksenia Muench, and I'm super pumped to be talking with Chanel Schweer, founder of Joy Movement, certified trainer, former Division I athlete, pro competitor, and mom who knows how powerful movement really is for mental and physical health. So we're diving into how exercise, nutrition, and daily movement can help you stabilize your mood, support your nervous system, deal with the acts you don't want to deal with, and give you back a sense of control when everything else feels chaotic. So it isn't about bounce back. This is about mind and body strength during the toughest transitions. But before we jump in, hit like and subscribe so we can keep reminding you just how much of a baddie you are. So now let's go. Chanel, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much for having me, Ksenia. I really appreciate it, and I'm really happy to be on here.
I really am pumped about this conversation because gym, I think, is such an underrated tool that people sometimes sometimes they're like, oh, we're too tired. And too tired is such an easy excuse because mentally we're drained. So, how do you motivate people and maybe rewire them a little bit that movement is so important, especially during things like divorce when you are spinning?
I think so often we put everyone, including current situations, in front of self-love and, really diving into like helping yourself first. And it could feel like you're drowning or walking through deep, muddy water, barely able to hang on, where really that is the time that 15 minutes can absolutely change the entire trajectory of your day, change your mood. It is a lifeline that everyone should have in their arsenal when times get tough. In the situation that, that someone may be in, and especially, going through a divorce, especially with kids, with work, prioritizing exercise can do so much.
What if the people say, oh, I just don't have time. I work from like 7 to 6 and then I have kids. I just don't have time. Or they
Yeah,
don't make time.
they don't make time. I do think people drastically overestimate how much, how little work they need to do for the benefit. For instance, I think people think they need to have a gym membership and go for an hour, where really they can use their own body weight for 10 to 12 minutes in their home, in their bedroom, in their pajamas, naked in the shower, wherever it doesn't require a lot of effort. And people will often say, well, if I can't make it to the gym, I'm not going to do it. If I don't have a 30 minutes or an hour, I'm not going to do it. So 10 minutes consistently every day adds up to huge progress versus one hour gym session. So and just these smaller little tap into, increasing your heart rate, stretching your muscles, lifting something that's heavier than, for resistance training, that's heavier than a pencil, absolutely help in so many different ways. So you really don't need a lot of time. And I think if people got that out of their head and they started small, they'd really understand that like, hey, this is attainable. This is doable.
What happens in our bodies when we actually move? Because I know, like you said, I know we produce dopamine, that is like a happy hormone.
Yes.
Hopefully, I think the cortisol levels when some high stress is happening, I think this is lowering. But I know, like you said, 5 to 10 minutes a day changes the entire trajectory of the day. But do you know exactly what's happening in the body? So maybe people, when they're not feeling like it, but they want to get to the feeling
Mhm.
of happiness, maybe that will motivate them. So
Yeah.
what exactly going on? in
Well,
us?
yeah, there's a lot of different things. So you have like an increase in your CO2, which is just your oxygen level. So if you're starting
Mm-hmm.
to, increase your heart rate, even on a walk, that's
Mm-hmm.
faster than a stroll, you're increasing your VO2 system. So your CO2, you're having more oxygen into your system, which helps with your heart, your lungs. If you start to do resistance training, so you're actually breaking down muscle fiber to rebuild stronger. If you're stretching and doing these body weight movements or push-ups or squats, and your joints are stretching and flexing and extending more than they normally would in everyday life, you are working on what's called functional training. So you're just able to move better, because honestly, if you don't use it, you lose it. And this is why as we age, it's harder to bend over, bend our knees, get our knees up to our chest, or, forward fold to pick something up, or rotate to grab something. So all these little movements dramatically help just your body and your aging in general. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the mental release of the dopamine and the serotonin in itself is motivating. And
Mm-hmm.
after a 5-minute circuit, even just being able to go, I accomplished that for the day. I know it wasn't as much as I wanted it to be, but you know what? I did that for the day, and I should be proud of myself. And that is so big. And that's why I
Mm-hmm.
always say, New Year's resolutions or starting new fitness programs, start small, because those little
Mm-hmm.
things make you feel confident. If you keep setting up these, I need to get an hour in every day, it's so grandiose that it's intimidating. But 5 minutes
Mm-hmm.
a day, you can absolutely do that. And so I think what happens, when you feel good, you can start to push yourself a little bit more. The goalpost moves a little bit more, maybe a little bit more time, or maybe a little bit more weight, or maybe a little faster walk, or,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'm going to try YouTube class. Like
Mm-hmm.
you really start to see like what you can do and get excited about
Mm-hmm.
it.
Well, I always tell myself when I'm not feeling it, I still drag my ass to the gym, and I'm like, at least 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep moving. And it's true, when you push yourself, when you don't feel like it, when your body is not feeling like it, there is such a sense of accomplishment
Mhm.
that you overcame it, and you feel just some sort of euphoria.
Mhm.
And this gym thing is almost like becoming, is it obsession or discipline? Because you keep going for a little more, you keep going for a little more. I can push myself a little more. So, what
Right.
is it? Discipline or obsession?
I think it could be both. And I think when people start to feel how good they feel, not only in their sense of accomplishment, how good their body feels, how you start looking better, how you start sleeping
Mm-hmm.
better, it really becomes a habit, a healthy habit. People do the same thing with maybe drinking. So it's like every day at 5 o'clock, they pour their wine because it feels good. It's home,
Mm-hmm.
it's comforting. And I hate to say that, and I understand it's not necessarily a super healthy addiction, but the gym offers that same kind of serotonin.
Mm-hmm.
You spend your 5 minutes to an hour, and
Mm-hmm.
you start to feel really good, and you start to correlate movement with that feeling of euphoria, of like feeling good in your body,
Mm-hmm.
feeling a sense of accomplishment, and that draws people to want to go. And this is why sometimes when people get so into it, I have to force like my clients to take a rest day, and maybe even just an active rest day where like maybe you don't go to the gym and lift weights, but I
Yeah.
want you to go for a leisurely walk, because people chase that feeling. And there is such thing as overtraining, absolutely. But you never regret a workout. And I have a rule with my clients that on days that you don't want to work out, you have to put on your clothes and you have to spend 10 minutes in the workout that I provide for them. And if you still are like, I'm not doing it, I'm not feeling it,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to do it anymore. But you have to give yourself 10 minutes. And 99% of the time, they finish the workout. They get into
Mm-hmm.
it. They're like, I'm already 5 minutes in. Let's keep going. Or you know what? I'm not doing my PRs today. I'm not doing my absolute best. But you know what? I'm showing up at 50%. And this 50% right now is my 100%. And so just in that, it teaches it teaches the body and the mind to overcome. And what that does is I think it builds confidence and it builds
Hmm.
resilience that like I can do this. And again, when I talked about like the 5 minute a day, it builds confidence. And yes, I can do the 5 minute. And they're going to get bored
Hmm.
of the 5 minute. And they're going to be like, I want to do 10 minute now. And that's what I'm
Hmm.
saying about like just building. And so yes, it's discipline in the beginning. And then it turns into, I don't want to say obsession in a negative way, but like this is what I have to do for my life because this is what works for me. This is what makes me feel
Hmm.
good, you know?
Oh, absolutely. And I also found like, as you and I chatted before, like I did not do any basically workouts until 2020. When I started going through divorce, I decided CrossFit was perfect for me. It's like from zero to 100.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
But that was the only exercise that I noticed for me. I was able to disconnect from the stress, unload whatever chaos was going on in my head. And all I was focusing on breathing and literally not dying.
Yeah.
Like it was, oh my gosh, I hate this so much, but it was the best part of my day. It's always like such a crazy oxymoron trying to get yourself there,
Right.
hating every minute of the workout, to be honest, because you're pushing yourself to the extreme,
Right.
but feeling absolute best afterwards. Because, like you said, number one, you're building your confidence because now you're like, oh my gosh, I can do this. I can do this. Let's see what else I can do.
Right.
And on top of it, you are now like all the negativity, you just left it on the floor
Yeah.
without any obsession. Like, listen, glass of wine. I also hear if you have a glass of wine and it gives you that dopamine, it's not unhealthy because the happiness overweighs the unhealthy portion. If you're having like two bottles of wine
Right.
or whatever, that's a different thing.
Yes.
Um, but I think for people overcoming, oh, it's not for me, or I cannot do that, by how about I'll try and see how it makes me feel?
Yeah.
It's a very different approach. And I think they will be surprised how great they feel about themselves afterwards.
No, absolutely. And there's something to be said when your mind is full of just trauma and it's going
Yes.
miles a minute. There's something to be said about going to a class, okay? So
Yes.
versus if me offering a program to someone, they're like, now I have to figure out how a squat works and now I have to do a push-up and I don't know if my form's right. Like it can be overwhelming. And
Yes.
I would absolutely recommend someone to either like watch a guided video where they're, teaching kind of, a fitness class, or you go to a class and you just turn off your mind and all you have to do
Hmm.
is listen to what the instructor says, follow the movements, listen and get into the music. And it really is its own therapy. And I recommend resistance training in whatever form that looks like to you. But everyone's going to find their like what works for them. And I recommend Pilates and I have been humbled by Pilates like very recently and the amount of resistance and time under tension and what it does to the body. It was great. Lifting weights I've been doing since I was 13, so I always recommend lifting weights. But
Hmm.
I also wouldn't want to deter someone from starting if they're just thinking about walking. I'm like, let's just
Hmm.
start from the ground basics. If you are doing absolutely nothing, like
Yep.
walking is the cheapest, easiest form. Okay. And then we might start doing maybe some push-ups and some squats with body weight, which
Hmm.
will be tough, but, and then you graduate to adding weight and then you graduate
Hmm.
to maybe a class. But I think movement absolutely is essential. And I've been through traumatic experiences in my life, where maybe in my marriage we're having a tough, rough patch, or, relationships with my parents or wherever it may be. And I've always used fitness. I don't want to say as a coping mechanism, but just to really let out stress, take my mind somewhere else. The serotonin and the dopamine are real. You feel good.
Hmm.
And it's important to feel empowered, in those moments. And I think, often people that, go through divorces, they're feeling maybe low, unworthy, all these different
Yes.
things. And just having these little wins and this confidence and this empowerment is only going to make you feel like you deserve something different or you might deserve
Mm-hmm.
something better, and I really do think working out does that. Like, I really believe that it does that.
Mm-hmm. I also find that motivation sometimes is lacking when people do not find what makes them excited during the workouts. Like the strength training for you is a big one. For me, it's the same in CrossFit. Like this makes me excited. If I go now to F45, I don't have motivation to do it because I'm not enjoying it. So
Right.
I always say you need to try multiple things when friends like, how do you do it? I just found what works for me and I am
Absolutely.
enjoying pushing myself. So you need to figure out the same for themselves. And you just need to keep trying and
Absolutely.
not shutting down.
The tagline in my brand is do more of what moves you. And it's so true. Find what you love and do it often is another one that I
Hmm.
find what moves you and do it often. Because I have friends that have been dancers their whole life and they love the Zumba, the yoga, the Payo, the Pilates, like,
Hmm.
and they thrive off of it and they're going to continue to do it because they love it. And if you take call them like a Pilates bunny and you stick them in CrossFit and be like, okay, now buy a membership and come back every day, and they're gonna be like, I don't like this, so
Exactly.
not gonna come, and I joke with friends or clients that there's all these influencers that are like, you have to deadlift, bench, pull up, and like that's it. You just do your main, and all these other people that are doing, this other stuff, it's not working. I'm like, well, if they don't love to deadlift, they're not gonna deadlift heavy,
Hmm.
like, you know what I mean? So just to kind of go along with what you said, you gotta find what moves you
Exactly.
and really dive into that.
How do you work with women when it comes to strength training? A lot of times women are so intimidated by it and they think like the first thought, and I was one of them, I'm gonna get bulky, I'm gonna get big.
Um,
That I know that's not the case. It takes
no,
a lot to get big,
right.
but how do you overcome their fear of the strength training? There is like a mental block.
Yeah, I don't know if it's from, the 80s when like the bodybuilder, Muscle Beach, like all these huge steroid, like if women just flat out don't have enough testosterone to grow that big. And it's funny, I used to compete in figure, which was a level of bodybuilding, and we would joke with these bodybuilder females that were like, oh, I would have friends that say, oh, I don't want to get that big. And they're like, you could never get this big. Like they were saying it as like a negative word. The bodybuilders women who were huge on the muscular side, very muscular.
Hmm.
This took me 17 years to build this. And you're worried that you're gonna look like this in a year. Like you
Hmm.
couldn't even try, honey. Like don't the amount of chicken breast that I had to eat, the amount of like lifting schedules and protein and creatine and all this stuff that I had to do to look like this, like you could never, and so I joke and tell that story because women do think that they're going to get bulky. And typically what happens is they start to lift weights and then they don't follow a diet. If you lift really heavy weights and you don't follow a diet and you just eat and drink and eat, yes, you're going to get bigger. You're going to look more inflamed and fluffier. Okay. That's
Hmm.
that's just physiologically. If you stick to a healthy diet and you lift weights, weights are a thermogenic. They are going to burn the body fat around you. You're going to maybe weigh the same or slightly more because muscle weighs more than fat,
Hmm.
but your waistline is going to shrink. The
Yes.
circumference of your arms are going to shrink. Like m- putting muscle on your body is going to absolutely have the opposite effect of what women think. Lifting weights, eating well is going to make you look chiseled. And I remember I had a photo of bodybuilding, and I was at my lowest weight and my lowest body fat, and people be like, "Oh my gosh, she looks huge." And then I see him in person and they're like, "You are the tiniest person," because you just look so cut. You know what I mean? And this
Yes.
is a picture, but I was like 7% body fat, which I don't recommend keeping for long periods of time.
Hmm.
But you know what I mean? You just look
Yes.
so shredded, um, because your muscles were showing through. Because I didn't,
Hmm.
having that muscle, you burn body fat. Um, and you got to like that look of having,
Yes.
arms. But lifting weights is going to do so much more, than just, physically and how
Hmm.
you look. It's so great for your bones. It's so great as we age. I mean, I don't exactly know the exact statistic, but as we perimenopause and go through menopause, and the amount of muscle that we lose as we age is astounding. And if we want to be able to touch our toes and pick up our purse from the back seat when we're 75, you got to move. You got to lift weights.
Hmm.
You got to get those muscles stronger. You got to get those bones stronger.
Yes.
Protein and lifting weights is going to help with that. I always offer kind of a beginner program. You start small. Okay, I'm not going to stick you with like 10, 15-pound weights. You're going to start with like fives and sixes. We're going to make
Hmm.
sure that your form is on point. If you can't do a
Hmm.
body weight squat with good form, I'm not going to load a barbell on your back. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's really about starting small and then and kind of progressing from.
Hmm. I think women who are starting strength training, I think number one, very important to not pay attention to the scale number because we as women, I know like I was freaking out. Wait, what? My weight went up and I just stopped using scale. My clothes is my scale. If
Yeah.
it fits great, I know I'm in good shape. But if my clothes starts feeling tighter and I'm like, all right, I need to change something. But I think whoever is starting on that journey, just be mindful. Muscles do weigh more, and it's a good thing. Like you're healthy, you don't need to be frail.
Right.
Um, how when it comes to perimenopause and stuff, I heard that you women need to start focusing more on strength training rather than cardio. Like your entire fitness routine has to start shifting into, like you said, strengthening your bones, building your muscles that you're losing so fast. It's truly just staying alive and not being frail as you're aging. Is that accurate, or is it just right now, like again, influencer type of thing going on?
No, I think because there's so many hormones changing in the body. There's a lot of stressors that are occurring. The studies show that HIIT training, like constantly putting your body under stress and high intensity interval training, is not the best. Yes, one or 2 days a week, one day a week. But studies show that lifting weights, heavier weights, and taking longer rest is actually going to be more beneficial for women in perimenopause and menopause. The cardio is important for cardiovascular health, but they're saying that the benefits of resistance training are outweighing the cardio. So, put in your cardio, your walks, your jogs, but don't solely focus on cardio as your main source of
Hmm.
fitness. Resistance training is helping a lot with various hormones in the body. I wish I had, a sheet in front of me that I can kind of pinpoint on, but the studies do show that resistance training is highly more effective in helping women kind of through those stages.
Hmm. Do you modify training based on how some of your clients feel? Like, I know sometimes, like the way our body feels every day, it's unpredictable. You wake up, you're like, okay, what's today happening, right? And sometimes we have zero strength. Sometimes we feel stronger than usual. Sometimes we're just like meh, somewhere in the middle. Do you adjust the training based on how your client feels, or do you keep pushing, saying, I know you're capable, so we're gonna keep going there?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there are training programs and trainers that primarily follow a women's the phases of the menstrual cycle. So in your luteal phase,
Hmm.
follicular phase, you have different strengths, and they say some doctors say certain phases you need to kind of not push as hard. Where another phase is like,
Mm-hmm.
this is your strength phase, like go hard, lift heavy. I really don't follow that too much.
Mm-hmm.
It can get really, I mean, I'm not a doctor, I don't have a PhD. It can get real scientific. Whereas I'm kind of your large umbrella for general fitness.
Mm-hmm.
But I always say if my clients are coming in and they're not feeling it, I'm like, yes, take more rest time. Okay, don't just not do something, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
can't, chest press your 30-pound dumbbells, let's go to 20 and just give me, a different rep range. Give me maybe a higher rep
Mm-hmm.
range. So maybe if you're not lifting as heavy, maybe we go a little bit more on body weight stuff. So I do
Mm-hmm.
really listen to a client, and what they come in with their bodies. Sometimes I'm like, can you push through? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, we'll push through. So it's really, you know, we're not going out for the Olympics. We're not trying to win a bodybuilding competition. The majority of us just want to feel good in our bodies and look as good as possible in our baddie era, right? So
Yes.
I think that there is some give and take on how you're feeling. I really
Mm-hmm.
believe on you just don't not show up. You just
Mm.
you don't quit just because you're feeling maybe a little bit tired. There is a difference of like an overtraining tired where you're like, I actually need a rest day because it could
Yes.
have a negative effect on my training program or kind of like my journey. But if it's just like I'm lazy, I'm tired, I'm kind of stressed, like no, 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 you still got to do your 30 minutes, your 15 minutes, but just modify it.
Mm-hmm. How important is the rest day and how frequently do you need to take one?
That's a great question. I think it depends on your training program. So if you're lifting really heavy, you know, 6 days a week, I think 2 to 3 days on, 1 day off, 2 to 3 days on, 1 day off. If you're consistently doing heavy hit, like high intensity interval training days, 2 on, 1 off, 2 on, 1 off. If you're just doing 30-minute workouts every day, I usually go like 4 on, 1 off.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends on the load that you're lifting or the
Mm-hmm.
intensity that you're lifting. So typically, if you're lifting really, really heavy and you're wanting to gain muscle, your rest periods are longer. So you might work out for an hour, but you might only do 3 lifts, right? Maybe a deadlift,
Mm-hmm.
squat, and bench press. I'm just kind of speaking, and you need to take longer rest because your reps are lower, but your
Mm-hmm.
higher because it's heavy. So the next day, you're not going to go back and do legs, like maybe you do pull, so you do different body parts. So that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
what's called a training split, where you are able to lift heavy multiple days a week because you're doing different body parts. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
High intensity interval training, it typically is full body. That will wreak havoc on your system if you don't rest. It will start to have a negative effect, on your training. So.
How do you see like overtraining is reflected in the body? Like some people just go, I know 7 days a week,
Yeah.
and they just think I'm gonna keep pushing through. And you know the funny part, they don't look like they go and train 7 days a week.
Yeah.
I'll just say
Yeah.
that. But it's funny to me. I know that you must have a rest day, but if you don't, how does it show up in your body that you
Um,
see, okay,
yeah,
I'm messing it up?
right. So not only just being overtired and fatigued, but irritability.
Mm,
Injury is a big one. So overtraining leads to
yes.
injury. And then inflammation. So sometimes where people are seeing the scale's not moving, it's because they're consistently inflamed. And so when you work out, your muscles are breaking down little muscle fibers,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and having to rebuild stronger. And that takes a lot on the body to do. It takes nutrition, it takes rest, it takes proper care, like stretching and all that. So if we're not letting the body do that, and we're constantly breaking down, breaking down, breaking down, it would just be like if someone was doing that to your everyday life, just constantly beating you down, you never have a chance to like grow, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and your body's really the same way. So, some of those symptoms are going to be a clear indicator of overtraining, overeating. I think that the irritability and the just the constant fatigue, sometimes even if you feel that and you even take like 3 days off, people are like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose all my progress. Where actually it might just be what your body needed and you come back stronger. You're not going to gain muscle or lose fat in 3 days, in a 3 day.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You're not
Yes.
going to lose your gains in a 2 to 3 day rest period. So if you take the weekend off or you're overtraining and you take 3 days off, your body will thank you for it. And I guarantee you, you will actually probably look leaner because your body has reduced that inflammation.
I've noticed that when sometimes I know I overtrain and I take 3 days off. Sometimes I take a week because then I'm like, okay, whatever is happening, my body is like, I need a break.
Yeah.
And when I come back, it's true. I am more rested, I am more on point, and I can train better than I was before. And if I just keep pushing, like, oh no, I'll do another 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I think movement is great. It's just the intention behind training. You really need to listen where your body is at as well. And
Yeah.
but again, I'm not a professional. I just kind of amateur.
Oh,
Just go
I
with that.
understand. I think there's something, and honestly, in my past, it's happened to me. If I'm going through a traumatic season in my life, I will go to the gym to escape. Okay, we
Yes.
exercise to escape, or we go to the gym to escape. Mine was an actual brick and mortar gym, and I'd go 7 days a week, weeks at a time, because I just needed routine, felt safe for me.
Yes.
Feeling good, releasing stress felt good for me. Being in an environment where people are generally happy was good for me, right? I mean, people at
Mm-hmm.
the gym are normally trying to make themselves better. So it's a very positive, energetic
Mm-hmm.
energy field. And I would go, even if I was just doing stretches and some like abs and crunches. So I don't want to deter anyone from, if that is your like safe space,
Mm-hmm.
go every day. But just don't, just watch how hard you train every day.
Yes.
Maybe you're just going to do a treadmill walk, but being there just makes you feel in routine, in your safe space,
Mm-hmm.
good place, then like go by all means, you know?
Yes. During, when we're stressed, we can get nutrition can get a little messy.
Yes.
Do
Yes.
you have any recommendation when it's not quite restrictive, so you can still satisfy the cravings that you are going through, right? But you are not completely like the train wreck.
I think protein has more benefits than just for your muscles and for your physique, but it's also for your satiety. So like eating protein will make you feel full. So making sure you have a protein with each meal. And if you're a sweets person, maybe you're not buying M&Ms, chocolate and stuff, but you're buying blueberries, raspberries, banana, like stuff, fruits that have natural sugars for you, where if you had like 3 oranges, it's going to be better for you than like 3 bags of M&Ms, or you know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's tasty and you get your sugar fixed. But there's also healthier options, like maybe popcorn instead of potato chips, or I'm just trying to think of like you know, little things that I've tried to get my frozen grapes. I've is a big one.
Oh, they're good.
I'm just trying to think. It's eating and drinking is another coping mechanism for having a
Yes.
stressful time. I've told clients, and I don't know if they've done this, or the feedback is, but research has been done when you're feeling like you want snacky food, go for a walk. Go for just a 10-minute walk.
Mm,
Usually and I've learned this through alcohol as well. It usually takes 15 to 20 minutes for a craving to subside. So if you can do something to pass that time in 15 and 20 minutes, usually that like craving will pass. But
mm-hmm.
it doesn't, reaching for stuff kind of on the outside of the grocery store aisle is going to be your better option. I mean, we all
Mm-hmm.
have our vices. I get it. There's a time and place, but if it's become like an everyday thing, you kind of have to check and be like, how is this making me feel? What is this?
Mm-hmm.
Is this deeper than just wanting potato chips or M&Ms
Mm-hmm.
or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, let's kind of do a little dive into this.
Yeah, my vice is chocolate. So but I am very actually, I learned to be very disciplined with that. I buy high quality chocolate, so I don't do M&Ms. It's like dark chocolate or milk and well made, and it's 1 square a day. So
Yeah,
that's it.
love
But
it.
that's my thing. I must have it. It's like my mood boost. It's everything to me. Without chocolate, and I'm like, it's a rough day.
You know what? I'm proud of you for having discipline. And honestly, again, with like people, oh, I don't eat cho 1 square is not going to do anything. Probably 2 squares is not going to do anything major. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
When it starts to become the whole bar every day or the whole bag
Yes.
every day, then it could be an issue.
What are your thoughts? I hear so many times, and it's funny. I no longer fight with people on this subject, but I kind of feel my results and what I do at the gym get invalidated. They say, "Oh, it's your genetics. I can never be that, or I cannot do that. You're just lucky." Have you seen what I do at the gym? That's not lucky. That's
Yeah,
busting my butt off there. So does I know genetics play a role in it, but if you really want to be chiseled, can pretty much anybody can get there, right? With the right training and nutrition.
right. Absolutely. I do 100% believe that anyone can get there with dedication, with commitment, and discipline is the big one. I do think the older, and I'm experienced this as I've been a trainer since I was practically 21 years old. I'm going to be 40 this year. I'm learning that hormones does play an effect. And
Yeah.
when I was in my 20s, having clients in their 40s, 50s, 60s, I'm like, you just got to train through it. And now that I'm here and have friends that are, in this age group, and I'm starting to kind of get into the age group of perimenopause, they do play a role. I am not
Mm-hmm.
a doctor, so I'm like, hey, we're going to do everything we can, and if you're not seeing results, then please go get your hormones checked and all that stuff. So I digress. I do absolutely believe that anyone in any shape can get to the body that they want. It's not going to be easy. They can start small. They have to understand that small daily wins equal up to big results. And so if you are going to stress yourself out thinking, oh my gosh, I have to work out an hour every day for the next year, and it's going to be overwhelming. So the important thing is just to fall in love with the process, meaning
Mm-hmm.
the type of workout that you're doing, fall in love with the type of food that you're eating and how it makes you feel, and not over analyze yourself on the daily with the scale. So
Mm-hmm.
um, you're going to fluctuate up and down every day. And eventually it's going to kind of go, in that downward trajectory if you look at the macro cycle of like your training journey.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I honestly think focusing on your nutrition is almost more important than your movement because you're going to continue to burn calories no matter what, just in your
Mm-hmm.
called your basal metabolic rate. But if you are eating, which we have to do every day, um, you're not choosing the right foods. No matter how much you work out, it's not going to make a difference. And so when I joked earlier about staying on the outer rims of the grocery market, it's really about whole foods. You might have to learn a couple of recipes on how to cook, and it could be
Mm-hmm.
simple rice, turkey, broccoli, rice, chicken, broccoli, like lean steak and asparagus. Like it doesn't have to be bland. And there's what we didn't have 20 years ago was the internet that has millions of
Yes.
food prep and recipes and Primal Kitchen, like all these different types of, food programs that you can learn from that make the journey so much easier. But nutrition is going to be the fastest thing to get you to your goals, and then working out will be the second fastest.
What's your take on carbs? A lot of
Oh,
women I know terrified of carbs.
I love carbs. So I actually just started using it's called the Lumen. It's like a breathalyzer device that tests your glycogen level. And glycogen is a fancy word of of the carbohydrates in your body. And so
Hmm.
this is not a promo for the device, but I'm learning, which is really cool, that your body throughout the day, it fuels itself with carbs or fats, and it kind of bounces back, and that's called metabolic flexibility. When you're able to burn fats and then carbs, fats and then carbs. So your body has to have carbs for energy. Okay, so if you're going to work out your body and you don't have any carbs in your system or glycogen in your system, your body will start to pull more from muscle because it's more
Mm-hmm.
okay. If we have glycogen in our system, our body, which is carbohydrates, we are able to utilize those carbs for our workout. So in the morning, I always say, let's not do carbs unless we're going to work out first thing in the morning. Let's kind of let our body run on fats and protein. Okay. Before a workout, 30 minutes, an hour before, that's when you should be having your carbohydrates. After your workout, your body has used those carbohydrates. Now we need to refill those carbs. So after your workout is a great time to have those carbohydrates. And then as the day goes on, maybe you stick to more proteins and fats again. So you're kind
Mm-hmm.
of focusing on the carbohydrates, which are, again, an absolute necessity for restoring those glycogen storages and for helping fuel muscle. I know protein is the muscle fueler, but carbohydrates help repair as
Mm-hmm.
well. Kind of try to focus those around, your workouts. If you're not going to work out for the day, just try to eat your carbs, between 11 and 4. Just kind of
Mm-hmm.
it's more in the general, unless again, you're going to do a nighttime workout, then have your
Mm-hmm.
carbohydrates. But studies have been shown like eating your carbohydrates around your workout is going to be great for fat burning, great for restoring energy, great for repairing muscle or repairing muscle. So yeah, carbs, please don't be afraid of carbs. And everything in moderation, don't,
Mm-hmm.
if people are like, well, I lost weight doing paleo or keto. Well, yeah, you took out a whole freaking macronutrient. Like you took out a
Mm-hmm.
whole one of three. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I was like, let's just do it in moderation. And some people generally, and I've been tested for it, I tend to burn um, more fats than carbohydrates. So I am eating carbs, but not at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
I eat moderate carbohydrates daily.
It's what you said is interesting. A lot of women probably don't even realize that carbs help you burn fat. It always like it's the opposite, right? Like strength training, you're gonna get bulky. Eating carbs will make you fat. It's the opposite. It's
Yeah,
almost like we women, we need to get rewired. We really need to fix like some loose screws when it comes to what we think the fitness is about, the nutrition is about. We think starvation is a good way to go. And
yeah,
I mean, how
yeah.
many people, how many women have done it to
Right,
lose weight? I mean,
right,
it's sad what we do,
right,
um, and it's not even effective
right,
because you immediately replenish everything, right? As soon as if you fasted like for 3, 4 days and
right.
then you ate, everything gets quickly replenished that
No,
you
absolutely,
lost.
absolutely, absolutely. And I really recommend if any of your listeners are wanting to, start their health journey and they're really not sure kind of where to begin on their nutrition, the number one thing that they should start to do, and it might take 3 to 4 days, but they should just eat regularly, but track what they eat. Like write down actually what they're eating and say they're eating 3,500 calories a day and they don't know it. That's a lot
Hmm.
of calories. Most people with their basic metabolic rate might be around anywhere from 1,700 to 2,700, maybe 3,000 calories if they're
Hmm.
really heavily. So an extra 500 calories, and that's on like the high side. An extra 500 calories every day, that's at least a pound of fat a week that they're gaining, you know?
Hmm.
Um, so we don't know where we should be if we don't know where we're starting from. So track
Hmm.
what you're eating, really calculating, which you can go to MyFitnessPal, you can go to Google and kind of just do a
Hmm.
log and you can figure it out. It's pretty easy. And then start to just take off 300 to 500 calories from that. So if
Hmm.
say you're for this example, say you're at 3,000 calories, I don't want you to jump down to 1,500. Like that, your metabolism won't be able to catch up. You're going to feel fatigued. And then you're just going to be like, you know what? I'm starving. I'm going to overeat. But if you
Yes.
do 3,000 and then you maybe go to 2,700 and then you go to maybe 2,200, you just start to like
Hmm.
knock, and this is over weeks at a time. Okay. Your metabolism can kind of catch up. You won't feel super hungry. You're going to learn how to eat. You're going to learn your portion size. You can start to whittle away until you get to your 1,800 calories, whatever, your 1,800 calories or whatever you're kind of wanting to stick around, your calorie deficit. I think it's a much easier way, and a much, what do you call it, more attainable way to kind of
Hmm.
nutrition journey.
Yes. If somebody feels intimidated, like we talked about nutrition, I know nutrition, I remember somebody was trying to convince me to do macros, and I'm like, I have so much going on already. I cannot track those, nor I kind of have a desire. I feel like I was somewhat on track. I'm somewhat on track in terms of eating. But knowing nutrition, understanding what you're putting into your body, understanding the class of foods, right, that are going in is intimidating. Going to the gym and seeing it looks like people know what they're doing. A lot of times they don't. They just look confident.
Right.
What is the small shift in or small thing they can do, or how you can help them to switch that mentality that, yes, this, even like anybody can do it?
Yeah. I think like, for example, when you started your podcast, it's intimidating.
Oh,
You
yeah.
you are nervous. What are people going to think? Is my lighting right? Am I going to freeze up? You think about all these things, and it's your body's natural reaction of that stress or that anxiety,
Hmm.
that we don't even want to put ourselves in that because we want to stay in our comfort zone. It's literally your body going, I'm going to stay in survival mode because I know that in this mode we are safe, we are living, we are
Hmm.
breathing. I don't know what this looks like. I've never experienced this. So we're gonna elevate that heart rate. We're gonna tell your mind that we don't want this because
Hmm.
we've never experienced it before. Until you can shut off that little voice in your head and say, I'm going to suck at it. It's going to be okay. I'm going to learn as I go. I'm going to just dive in. And then your body goes, wait a minute, we're living, we're breathing, we're surviving. Now we're comfortable. Look at us. Look at us thriving and getting better and learning. And it was the same thing for me when I was training. I was like, oh, I'm going to be meeting all these people. And what if I mess up or tell them the wrong muscle that they're working? And obviously, I did it and I was nervous. And then I kept growing. And then now I started a YouTube, same thing. Oh, this is going to look so silly. And my first YouTubes were so embarrassing, but I've gotten so much better. And I
Hmm.
really think you don't know what you don't know. And so if you're wanting to try a fitness routine, the only way you're going to be able to get past the anxiety is if you try it, is if you do it.
Yes.
It really
Hmm.
is. It really is a jumping in with 2 feet. And you're gonna have setbacks. You're gonna mess up. You're gonna think you look silly. You're gonna have to maybe ask for help. And like
Hmm.
in one day, you won't have to do any of those things. Um, it'll be second nature to you. You know,
Hmm.
I really, God, I could talk about this so much because there were so many things in my life that I was so intimidated for, and so many things I still want to do where I still am moving that goalpost where I'm like, oh, I want to do this, but I've never done it. I'm going to look silly. My friends are going to think it's cringy. And I know that I just have to do it. And
Hmm.
success is on the other side of that comfort zone. You think all those people in the gym felt comfortable when they first got there?
Oh, absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Like everyone started from somewhere. It's funny because I have friends that are psychologists or accountants or own their own dental practices. And I'm like, I look at them going, oh my gosh, I could never do that. When they're looking at me going, oh my gosh, I could never do that. I'm like, you weren't scared to be a dentist. So why are you scared to learn how to work out? It's like
Hmm.
you started in your job at one point, going to school, your first patient, all this stuff. Like, why would this intimidate you? It's the same thing. You got to start somewhere. Um, so I encourage people, especially through rebirth, reborn in your
Yes.
birth. This is your time to really be whatever you want to be. Like you are the change, right? That's going to make
Yes.
change happen. I just heard Tony Robbins, his podcast this morning. He's like, be the change you want to see. If you want your life to be better, you got to be better. And it was
Hmm.
it's great.
I when I started the CrossFit, I was giving the best advice. It's leave your ego at the door. And I know regardless of our self-worth, self-esteem, when we get hit by life multiple times, yes, we get bruised and we don't feel great. But when we leave ego at the door thinking, you know what, like I said, I will suck. And it's okay. I'm learning. Everybody starts from somewhere. And this is where I'm starting. And also not allowing other people's opinion noises. You don't even know those people. Who cares what they think?
Yeah.
Who cares? But I think a lot of times also people who are starting out, they underestimate there is this community of any gym. People are so willing to help. If
Mhm.
they see you're struggling, they're like, what can I do? I can get weight for you. I can help you with the form. What can I do? I think people underestimate that they're not judging you when they're looking at you. They're looking either they're saying, hey, great job, or can I help?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I often see people maybe in the start of their journey, and I think, and maybe I'm different because I've been doing this for so long, but I'm like, F yeah, man. Like, look at you. You're in here, like you're doing, I see older people, doing the bike things, and I'm like, you are in
Yep.
here. You might have a book, and he's doing his thing with his socks to his knees, and he's just going for the yeah, man. Like, look at you. Um, and if it makes anyone feel any better, there's machines where I have to go find someone and be like, hey, show me how this works. I've never used this before. And I really don't care what people think. And I'm hoping that your listeners feel the same and not caring what people think. But yeah, do I look silly? Like, yeah, oh, look at this girl. She's in shape and she doesn't know how to use this machine. Like, it's okay. Like, asking for help is, people are so willing to give it.
Exactly, exactly. What is the best way to contact you if somebody wants to work with you? And I think you're incredible. I mean, your website, what you do, the workouts, they're truly such a great way to transition without being intimidated
Yeah.
because you work with people, you see where they're at, and how can they contact you?
Awesome. Well, thank you. So, myjoymovement.co, or sorry, joymovement.co is my website. You can email me at myjoymovement@gmail. But I do have an entire YouTube channel. I have probably over 400 workouts that are all guided. They're
Hmm.
mostly under 30 minutes. So you can literally just follow along with me. I guide you, voice commands on your form and all that. If you want to work with me more personal, like you want a personalized program, just email me and I can get you set up with my app. But yeah, I really appreciate you having me on.
Chanel, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for breaking this almost like enigma and mystery about the gym and nutrition and how possible and doable it all
Yes,
is. Anybody can do it. Anybody can
absolutely.
do it.
Absolutely. I wish the best for everyone listening.
Thank you again, and thank you guys for listening. Until next time.
That's it for this episode of Uncoupled and Unfiltered. If you're loving the raw truth and practical takeaways, do the badass thing and rate and review the show wherever you listen. It helps more good people find their way out of the chaos. And check the show notes. Yeah, we actually put some useful stuff in there. Resources, links, tools, go grab what you need. Until next time, don't settle, don't shrink, and don't look back.